We conducted a review of the literature and discovered that Australia and New Zealand had completed almost a quarter of the available literature and had the most successful outcomes. Though the cultural context may differ from Canada, there were some key changes made that our country could use as a framework to improve the access to physiotherapy for Indigenous peoples. The first was challenging the silence around Indigenous healthcare. Using this as a launching point, they investigated and challenged the barriers for physiotherapy care in Indigenous communities. The perceptions of health and illness was the largest barrier addressed. Not that physiotherapy was an inappropriate form of treatment, but that it could be delivered in a more culturally appropriate way. In response, efforts were made in order to increase the enrollment of Indigenous students in physiotherapy school. Formal efforts were also made to improve the communication between physiotherapists and Indigenous communities. They also took a targeted approach to providing care to the three most common conditions within Indigenous communities: physical disabilities, stroke, and MSK. So what's next? Well, the CPA has released an issue of their physiotherapy practice article that focuses on some next steps for physiotherapy care in Indigenous communities. The first was a program called Fly in Physio, in which a physiotherapist flies to an Indigenous community for a short period of time to provide care. The second and third highlighted developing partnerships and addressing gaps in healthcare for Canadian Indigenous communities. The fourth suggested various ways to seek reconciliation by using the TRC as a guideline. Finally, the importance of encouraging Indigenous communities to use Inuit Child First Initiative and Jordan's Principle. This allows First Nations and Inuit families access to funding for rehab based on the needs of children. Armed with this information, we can improve the way physiotherapy is delivered to Indigenous communities.